your name on there.
Oh, okay.
I saw that.
We waiting for one more?
Surprised you didn't put an E on the end of it too.
Waiting for 1:30.
Right, it is.
And I think where did Dale go?
I'm assuming that's his stuff.
That's the deal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Lex, you guys are on and you're already on YouTube Live, so you're good to go whenever you want to start.
Wonderful, thank you very much, Annette.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Do we have any watchers from last time? Did we really?
Just to let you guys know, in the meeting notes from last week, I do realize that Walleye's name is it was already been corrected.
Okay, it is 1:30, calling the Berrien County Remonumentation Program Peer Group to order. And it is November 4, 2020. Everyone should have a copy of last meeting's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 27th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
I am checking.
Lex?
She's checking.
Okay, I've asked a couple of times. I don't see that you have any public comment, but I'll keep an eye on it just double checking. If something comes up, I'll let Lex know.
No, thank you. No public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any old business? Hearing none. New business. And Matt and Dale are presenting. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Do I get one?
Yeah, just take one pass.
Get me
Grab one
quicker.
for Tom.
Blanket.
Go that way, I guess.
This is. Give me.
Your paper's got grease in it.
Yeah, I know. Along with all of my large format drawings for the last week and a half. Beautiful.
Dale, one more, Matt?
There's a pile of them right there.
A little bowl? Oh, there, he's got a little.
No, I don't need it.
Got any more of those?
I'm just here to be entertainment. That's fine.
Yeah, I know.
You're getting one.
Does anyone need anything else while I'm up?
I'll take a sandwich.
Coke. The beverage, to clarify. Ready?
Go ahead.
All right, I've got these corners in Orinoco Township, Town 6 South, Range 18 West. The corners that I am doing are the ones designated on the map with the corner benchmark symbol and the information in the boxes. Those are B9, C8, C9, D9, E8, and E9. Just gonna go basically in the order that they are in the packet from left to right, B9, C8, C9, etc. So, B9, we have a concrete fence post with a chiseled X in the top of it, with a capped iron, I believe that's John Hunt 22436, 1.66 feet west. Corner history on that, with all of these for GLO was Lucius Lyons in 1829. History on B9 goes back to 86 was the first survey I had by Prestine referencing the concrete post. There was one before that by Wally, just had it used but did not identify. Concrete post carries through the history. Verified witnesses back to John's 1999 survey going forward from there. Distances going east and west, check with pretty much everything except for Wally had an 82 survey that had a different distance. And it's reasonable with GLO as well.
You think John Hunt, why is he 1.66 west, or was he marking, I mean, if there's
I don't know.
any surveys off
I
this
don't know.
stuff?
I couldn't find any surveys by John in my research.
Any evidence or occupation difference?
No, there's really no reason why the post shouldn't be held as the corner, based on what I've found.
Looks like it really goes back, at least to Wally's 82 stuff, right? That's,
Yeah, Wally didn't identify it in his survey, but at least to Prestine in 86.
Is it broken down at ground level or is it sticking up?
It's sticking up. It's still in place, intact.
shows Lexus, that's kind of a giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's about 3 or 4 spots around Orinoco that has that, like a concrete fence post with that X on top of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I've got one down on C10 on my reference corner. That's another concrete post there. I think there was one other one I saw that I don't have tied in that was out in here somewhere that was another one.
You're saying it's not uncommon work.
Not in that area.
No. So that's B9. Recommending holding the concrete post as best available evidence. And for remonumentation on that one, my thought is instead of trying to rip out somebody's concrete fence post, we just tap into the top of it and drill it out and epoxy the cap into the top of the post.
Okay with that?
You think the post can withstand that?
It should, yeah.
Not gonna bust apart at the top?
It doesn't look like it. If it seems like it might, then I'll file off the knob in the cap and just set it, glue it on. Either way, I'll just affix it to the top. So going on to C8. C8, we had a 3/4 inch iron rod in the monument box. Historically, this one had been called out as a railroad spike from about 72 Garrett through 88 Commer, and then in 2005 it was an iron rod in the monument box. The same situation with C9. Both of them have history saying railroad spike that switched to iron rod and box. Witnesses to either or from the survey history check to the position. I don't know if somebody at some point went out there and replaced them with boxes and irons, or if they were misidentified one way or the other as far as what monument is, but it's in the same place regardless of if it's a railroad spike or an iron rod and one box. You can see, looking at the history on the distances again, going north back to Rushlow 78 to C7, we're checking really good there. And going south, I have more recent history, but everything seems to be making sense going south to C9 from C8. So no controversy really there, other than the railroad spiked an iron rod, but the distances and the witnesses are all checking, everything seems pretty copacetic. C9 is pretty much the same story, like I said, history of railroad spike. Actually had a 71 survey by Dreer where he said he set the railroad spike, but looking at his survey, I don't really know what the methodology was there. He shows an 8th corner east found and the west quarter corner to the south. And basically, I don't know how he came up with this bearing from the easterly 8th corner going west to establish it, because he shows set irons everywhere. It's a little bit strange, but the west quarter corner at C10, he is calling out a 8x8 concrete fence post corner, which is what's still there. Distances going south, he doesn't give a distance to it, unfortunately, but distances going south from the history I did have all seems to check out fairly well going south there. Again, the history on the witnesses I've verified back to 82 John witness from a survey that he had, and then 92 forward. Distances seem good east, west, north, and south. Within 3,200ths of the GLO chain distance, which has got to be the closest I've ever been to one of those.
3,200.
Yeah.
Matt, can I see that?
Yeah. So again, doesn't seem to be any controversy. All of these have been used and held and surveyed off of, at least going back into the 70s. So going to D9, we've got a 3/4 inch iron pipe. D9. It's kind of out in the middle of a field. There's a little bit of a tree line that goes west out of it, and a sort of tree line that goes south out of it. North and east is just open field. Not as much survey history for witnesses on this one, but I do have 94 comma witnesses that we verified, along with Jeff in 2016. Distances east and west seem very reasonable. Again,
Not much on that, again, if there wasn't too much development or reason for service in the area. Anything contradictory, occupation?
no,
survey?
there's, no, like I said, there's a tree line that goes west out of there and sort of a tree line south, and then it says open field north and east. But nothing that would suggest that there's another position.
94, just a 3/4 inch iron pipe, I don't say a found one, right?
94, say
I would guess it was found.
that? I think it's found.
Yeah. I don't recall that we were setting 3/4 inch irons. Called out the line.
My file here.
There was those half-inch galvanized,
Yeah, those came later.
but that was later.
Yeah.
You know, those were 3/4, but they were later. That's probably about 98, 99.
Yeah, you said found, John.
Oh. So somebody else was there earlier.
Then going to E8, we have a half-inch iron rod and a monument box. That survey dates, history in the surveys dates back to 75 Stefan called an iron rod. Verified 2 of his witnesses from that survey. And then going forward from there, lots of witnesses checking. And a significant amount of distances there. Everything seems pretty reasonable north and south.
Well, these distances, all of them, comparatively are really close.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's any issues with any of these corners. Everything's the way it's been. The occupation on E8, there's a windbreak tree line that Lombardi poplar that runs east. That's pretty much right at the monument box heading east out of there. West, there isn't really as much, there's not really anything over there other than a line of power poles going west. And then going down south to E9 from there. Another half-inch iron pipe in the mound box. Goes history back to Garrett 74. He had an iron pipe. Had one of his witnesses. And then forward from there. Then multiple verified witnesses. On that one, really no occupation on here. It's in Burgoyne. To the east, it's a common parcel on both sides of the section line, so there's no occupation. West side is just wooded. It kind of drops off into kind of this pond marsh area. Distances again all seem pretty good. Everything seems reasonable. That one I was within 4/10 of GLO, so there's 2.
So then, yeah,
4/10 of GLO going east.
to the plow point under stones.
Yeah.
You gotta measure better.
Yeah. Talk to Clint.
Have you dug underneath any of these corners yet to see if there's any other?
I have not. I haven't done any excavation. I didn't really have any other history suggesting other things under them in my research, but obviously when we go to plan them, we'll pull what's there and take a look, probe. The 4 in the rows are already in monument boxes, so I'm avoiding the mon box controversy this year.
Did you happen to look at the 8th corner between C9 and D9? On that,
I did not. I've got a Bradford survey of all but one of my corners tied together from 2016, and he's got a note on that that says unable to set corner calls in water. But he's got a bunch of 8th corners tied into his survey, and I'm within 10ths of his survey all the way through this entire thing, so.
just that first survey was about 1.5 foot, I think I calculated it between here.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation?
Recommendations, best available evidence for all the corners as presented. With the approach on B9 to put the cap in the top of the pipe, or the top of the post there. Everything else will just be replaced as is.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta go get one. Haven't done that yet.
Dale.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go get materials?
Yeah, we'll let you-
Yeah, I'll shoot you a text. Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
You could probably, if you're going to get it, I think the door is, you can get in.
Okay.
Give Lex the list of what you're taking.
Okay. Well, Mike's gonna go over there after the meeting, I think, so I'll just shoot him a text, I'll grab both of them, and then I'll email Lex, let you know what I'm grabbing. I'll tell you off the top of my head, probably, it's gonna be 4 pipes, 5 caps, and 1 monument.
Ed, do you need me here?
Dale, do you need me to pass anything out for you?
Yeah, I'll just send these down here.
Yeah.
You need a copy, too?
Yeah, I will.
I'll sit on your desk.
You lost them, thank you.
Does Wally have any?
Yeah.
Okay.
These corners are in Bertrand Township. Red Bud is, goes north and south there. It goes, we're about a mile south of US 12. Red Bud goes into Buchanan, and then Buffalo Road, east and west. I'd like to start with K3, K4, and K5. We found solid bars, and they've been called 1 inch to 3/4 inch iron bars. I think the road commission had something to do with them putting them in mon boxes, putting the rods in and putting the mon boxes in for K3, K4, and K5. There's some notes. I think in K3. I had some notes back from 1950, 1946. They talk about, at K4, they talk about a survey that was done just southwest of K4. And they set K4 up by some fence posts that were to the west and projected it to the east. They found a center post, and then about 1,200 feet from K4, they found another post. And I think in the K4 notes, it talks about in 1946, they had attack at corner, used ties, used corner post at center section, and used a large corner post to establish the east-west line. And so they kind of show it that way. There's a tree line that runs to the west, and then they measured, if you look at K5 in 1950, they measured south 2648.5 feet, set a tack in Blacktop Road, and there was they had fence posts going east and west, and they put it on line with the fence posts in the center of the road. that's how these corners, I think some of these were set up. And then I have the road commission stuff, and most of the witnesses for K4, for K3, K4, and K5 are still there, and they all tied to these points. Between K4 and K5 to the east, there's a subdivision that runs from K4 to K5. I think it was done by Dreer, 1956. And then there's a subdivision done by Mitchell to the west, just north of K5, that they use K5 and K4 to set up the subdivision. So at K5, I found a monument to the west for the subdivision. It was 50 feet west. The top of it was busted up pretty bad, kind of bent over. And then to the east, there was a monument. There was a half-inch rebar in concrete. I don't think it was a concrete monument. It looked like they poured concrete around it. So going back to K3, we have some history of Prestine, collar saw, 1-inch solid iron. That's what we find in the box now. The commission had some witnesses that compared to Prestine's. And then Pierce used it in 93. K4, same thing, found 3/4 inch. On the second page of K4, you'll find some more witnesses. I messed up the columns. So they still have Prestine have recorded the corner of K4 1974. They have a couple of his witnesses still there. In 1950, from Whiteman's notes, they had a railroad spike, but we were able to find the witnesses. There was an iron pipe in concrete that was 33 feet west and south 16.5. In the field notes, they show that. In the 1946 survey, they also show that iron over there being 33 feet west and 16.5 feet south. And then we found the iron and measured to what they had said in 1950 and 1946. So the witnesses some of the witnesses are gone, some were there. I kind of know, I wrote down in parentheses is what I kind of measured to the monuments, or to the witnesses. So,
You're reviewing K3, K4, and K5, kind of.
yeah, they were all kind of set at the same, K4 and K5 are kind of set together. And the surveys in 1946 and 1950, from what I could see.
Question, what's on
Just that he's kind of grouping them. So you moving, are you done with that group? Presenting?
Yeah, I'm trying to throw, you kind of have to cover one for the other and stuff, so. But I'll go through each one. I'm kind of going over through each one right now, so.
I was just trying to follow. You were
Oh, okay,
going
right.
back and forth and around, so I was
Okay.
just trying to follow your plan.
No plan, just chaos. So, yeah, this is, so if you want me to go back through K3, start there. Just some notes back in 1950 that shows it's in a Mon box. There's a Mon box there. 1974, Prestine's recorded as a winch iron pipe, a rod. And his witnesses are still there. And then Barron County in 1978 had some, and I'm not sure what I saw on the notes, it said CAP. I don't know if that means cap or does that mean something else? It just said cap. And the witnesses they have are pretty much the same as what Prestine had, or close to it. We dug underneath K3, didn't find anything, any other monuments. So then K4, like I said, it was K4 was set from looks like it was set in 1946. They were using the post at the center and then another post 1,200 feet west of it, and they projected a line to the road. And these corners are basically in the center line of the road.
That's mud.
And as far as having a history for witnesses for K4, there are monuments to the west. There's a monument to the west, 33 feet, which makes reference to a plat to the 1978 Bering County Road Commission. Dreer did the plat of Portage Acres, and he had a monument there, East 33, in 1956. So, and then in 1950, they note about an iron being 33 feet west and 16.5 feet south, which we found that iron. And then Banch and Harner's witnesses are still there. And Prestine had recorded it in 1974. And 2 of his witnesses are still there. K5, in 1950, it talks about set tack in the center line of a blacktop in line with fences going west and east. There was a fence post east and west. And then 1978 Bering County Road Commission had only one of their witnesses is gone. 1990, Prestine had 2 of his witnesses. And then Mitchell had recorded a plat and recorded the corner there too. Yeah, well, yeah, both of them done.
You want to approve these corners in groups or all as one?
We can do all as one,
Okay.
so,
I'm gonna ask questions on these.
Yeah,
before we
any
go on.
discussion, yeah, just,
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
right, yeah, if you don't mind. So Dale, I'm trying to follow the K4 and K5 stuff. It looks like K4, they set coming across from the center through some corner going west till they hit somewhere in the road to set that one. Is that right?
yes.
I mean, the only thing is like, and you're more familiar with it than me, so, you know, that kind of let me know as you go, but it seems, you know, if in 1950 field notes, or 46 field notes, and 50 field notes, how they set them, it's like, where did they know where to stop east and west? Because based on your LCRC, it looks like the 1951 for K5, they came down to a point in between the fence lines and the center of the road and set a 10. I mean, that's what it sounds like they did,
Yeah,
but is that the way you should do it?
well,
I mean, if there's more history, is there any more, I mean, obviously you don't have more history, but is there more
No.
history in like county surveyor notes or anything like that, or?
I went through your stuff. This is all I could find was the 1946 to 1950 stuff.
Did you check anything upstairs in the
Yes,
John's? Okay. County survey stuff. Yeah, it just, I don't know, it's been used and
I think
everything's
back-
there, but I mean, it's going back to 1950, but it just seems hokey the way they did it. You know?
I think a lot of corners were done like that, I think, with fences.
I'm looking at the aerial, photos out there, and I actually did some of the field work on that subdivision in section 11. And, the occupation lines are pretty well established.
Yeah, I'm sure, it just feels like there should be something maybe more out there somewhere, you know what I mean? It just seems, I mean, the methodology on how they did it, I mean, it seems like they walked out there and said, right about here, and set attack, and
Well, I think
Kinda
they
took
did,
off.
I think they did some work, especially on K4, because they went back to the center,
right,
and they found, they found some occupation, a post at the center, and then another post 1,200 feet west of K4, and they projected a line to where it's at now, whether they use the center line of the road or they use any kind of fence corners along the right of way or something like that to set it up.
all right.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's probably all good that that's where it should be, it just doesn't feel the best, you know, I mean, I guess that's where I'm kind of going with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
In the
if they follow,
history.
you're bringing up, GLO procedure, if it's a lost corner, they're not following the correct procedure. but
To some
if it's
extent, but,
Obliterated and they had some other thing, evidence that
Right,
they're not
right.
explaining.
which they may have, I mean, there's collateral evidence out there, obviously, which they used, but. And maybe it's more in the notes, but, yeah, just kind of bringing it up as more of a statement / question, and just,
yeah,
just the methodology, you can kind of see it, and it's just like, okay, but if that's all they had, that was maybe the best way to go about doing it,
mhm.
maybe.
Well, you want to take a look at it, right
And
there.
then we need to decide at this point in time, if there's anything different that's better.
I mean, Dreer in 1956 used those corners to lay out a subdivision. And that subdivision those lots run from K4 to K5, the whole half mile. So and there's tree line there. I didn't see any fences going east.
There's a lot of fence lines established on those corners. If you look at them. Here's there's the quarter post, there's the section corner, that's the plat.
Mhm.
Then you look at all these 660 lines,
Mhm.
and quarter lines are really well established.
Oh, yeah,
So there's section 11, that's the quarter post. Here's that little subdivision.
yep.
And then you can see all these 660 and 330 lines coming off. And,
Oh, yeah.
occupation is pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense, it just, yeah, it's the way it's,
So we better go back to 1956, is that what you're saying now?
1950 would be,
46 and 50.
yeah. I couldn't tell where the section page, the second page of that, whether it was 1940 or 1946 or 1950 in the notes there. But, do you know who would have did that in 1946? I don't have a name on there, whether that would have been Dewey or,
Wally?
would you know who back in 1946 or 1950 would have done?
And see Locust.
So it would have been Dewey or,
Locust.
oh, well, I think that's what,
1950.
Bill Locust was the crew chief, sounds like.
mhm.
He was working for, you know. Locust only worked for GL, didn't he? That's the 1950.
Yeah,
And I, K5, it has it on there and that, and,
yeah, it kind of sinks, you can't tell whether they set or found some of that stuff.
yeah, I mean, they say tack,
Right.
and then later it was an iron pipe or rebar or railroad spike.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, no, I think you're fine, I mean, you're not gonna find anything better, I don't think, on that, or do anything different, I mean, you do, it's,
I mean, we did,
match anything out there, but it just,
okay.
Any more discussion on K3, K4, K5? So do you have any other corners there?
Yes, I got 4 more. L3 is in Buffalo Road, going east of K3. We found a 1/2-inch rebar in a mon box. Witnesses are, a lot of the witnesses are still there. We dug below the 1/2-inch rebar. Didn't find any other monuments. 1967, the fence post to the northeast is still there. Fence post to the south is still there. And, same witnesses by Dreer 1974 recorded the corner. Prestine in 91 had southeast corner of a brick. It was a brick base for a sign. The brick base is still there, but the sign's gone. We measured that within 1500s. So as far as occupation, there's a fence row that goes south of it. There's no occupation to the north. It's close to the center line of the road. So as far as dimensions, got the dimensions going to the east, which we measure within reason with Whiteman's and Dreer. So.
Looks like that one goes back to at least 67, right?
Yes.
So Dale, I got a question. The GLO 230472,
Mm-hmm.
is that supposed to be 230472 in the northwest quarter there also?
No, it's not. They did not split it. They came over 40 chains.
Really?
Yeah. That was kind of confusing when I first saw that.
So they didn't come over and then
Split
recorrect?
it, no. They did come back and corrected, but they kept 40 chains
In the northwest quarter?
in the northwest.
That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Because they did it on the. on
So
the
they
south
corrected
line,
it
too.
from line, but not distance east and west.
They missed, because the corner was established there on the township line.
Right,
So they missed it, and then they corrected back, but they only came back.
just the north and south, but not, they didn't correct east and west. That-
No, they didn't put it on midway.
Right.
Interesting. They almost did a fractional on east.
Yeah, that's
Right,
great.
yeah.
That's why,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look at the south line, they do the same thing on the south line.
Right, yeah, I
Yeah.
was just noticing that.
Do you have those notes?
Yeah, these are, yep.
Although, that's the last
Township going to the state
township
line.
going to the state line too, so they did some weird crap in there.
Yeah,
Going south, they did it, but yeah, they must have said, we're not correcting. That's weird. Huh,
it's right there.
yeah,
They went east, I don't even think they mentioned it. They did, when they corrected back, they put it back on.
3492.
40 chains.
Yeah, they measured 74.92 and they set the quarter post at 34.92 going.
So
So they had
that,
the 40 chains.
so the 40 chains in the west quarter, or the west half, basically.
Interesting.
And I don't know what GLO did, they didn't call it out?
No, they didn't call it out.
So your distance calculation.
They went to the township, and when they came back, that's when they called it out. So if you subtract the total distance and from what they came back, it's 40 chains,
Yeah, they didn't measure it back. They
The other
just-
side was 34.
34.92.
34.92.
34.9, okay, yeah, 34.92, I calculated 34.9, so 34.92, which is a big difference from 40 chains.
Yeah,
And it's measuring that
yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
on
It's
both
kinda cool.
lines.
Yeah,
I mean, it's weird, but yeah, that is the last one going to the state line, so they did some weird stuff.
yeah, going down to the state line.
Going south, I mean, it kind of straightforward, but yeah, east and west, I've never seen that.
That's actually good to know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that may be the only township they did it in too. right?
Maybe the only section they did.
But that's possible also.
at the 18, part A, 1835, I did kind of mention that on the first line, corrected, 34.92.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you want me to put it in part B or just leave it in part A.
No, I think you're fine.
L5, which is the south quarter corner of section 12. We found there is no road going east and west. Chicago Road kind of runs diagonally, goes across, so it's about 1,000 feet up in the field there. There's a tree line going north and south. There's no occupation going east and west. And there's also a fence line going north and south. And it's, L5 is sitting right next to a railroad tie post, right along the fence line. And basically we found a well point, and it goes back to the county surveyor's notes. I wasn't sure of the date, I couldn't find the date on there. And they had they had witnesses. The railroad tie, from the county surveyor's note, the cherry, the railroad tie and fence, the railroad tie post is there. It does measure like a little over 7/10. The cherry is south is there. I have witnessed in the Whiteman stuff in 2002. There is a fence post to the north, 10.4 feet, but it's kind of laying down now. So Drew had it in 1950 as a well point, and in 1971. So, and he basically had the same witnesses as the county surveyor did. And then Whiteman's had it, and Stevenson had it. And Stevenson, on his survey, I've noted on his survey, he found an eighth corner going to the west, which is pretty much pretty close to split. He found a stone. On his survey, it shows that. So, and we're measuring pretty close to what he had total distance.
Clark, in 1835, there was already a tree line on that line?
Yeah, that's what he noted on his tree line. So. Lot of happening in there.
How'd that tree line get there?
Pioneers must have stayed there.
Yeah, maybe that's why it didn't correct east and west.
Yeah. That's true.
And you got through some interesting ones, Dale.
On tree line.
Each other.
So L5, I think there's no problem there as far as it's been used.
Was that stone that we found online fairly close?
Oh, your eighth corner?
Yeah, I had mentioned
That's over here.
Oh,
On L5.
L5. Going to the west is, from a survey Tom had provided. There's a 7-minute deflection. Yeah, about 7-minute deflection. And you were pretty close, yeah, it was pretty close to the split.
Yeah,
Within
K5 is also attacked too, so.
K5,
K5. is
Yeah, it's
also
attacked, yeah.
attacked.
so,
was 1835 Clark, was he the government land office surveyor?
I don't have,
1835, I thought the GLO was earlier.
1828, yeah.
Maybe I got it, because I got the GLO over here.
Mhm.
Maps. I don't know where.
Usually a date on the bottom of those.
Yep, hold on. I just had it up.
I know that when They had a couple of dates.
A couple of days.
Is that anywhere close to that Indian tree boundary?
That's what I was wondering, if it was east of the Indian boundary and this got surveyed later.
Well, it was surveyed earlier, and then it got surveyed again, hence the tree row being there.
Right.
Could be, yeah, it did show an Indian boundary coming across the southeast.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, because it just didn't make any sense, why is there already an existing tree line where he's setting his post?
Town line, town subdivision, 1835,
Which is what Dale's got.
Clark.
Mhm.
There's some other things in here, 1848, they were doing. Weird things. Different guy though, Blanket or something, Robert Blanket. Subdivision. 1840, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I have to dig further to find that out. I was just thinking maybe Clark came a little later, than why that tree line was there.
Right.
Because most of these other ones are 1830, and I remember, some of the other, or even some of the other, townships are earlier. But, so if he came along in 1835, there might have been a tree line
Might
there.
have been already, that's what I mean, it's probably already surveyed through there, and then they had some probably an Indian treaty, and then that got changed, and then they had to come out and resurvey.
Right. But this is the one we would follow.
Correct.
Second one. Interesting history.
Okay, moving to I-5, which would be the southwest corner of 11.
Yeah, Clark again.
Yeah, that's the same area. Clark. So, 76 Stephanie Stone. Two of the witnesses measured pretty close. Trees are a lot larger now than they are then. Hunt found a pointed stone. And then Whiteman's had an iron. And Stevenson had a stone. We did find the stone, and which measures distances measured pretty close to Stevenson's and Hunt, and we also went from I-5. We went to the west quarter corner of section 14 just to see, make sure, check some dimensions, because I-5 is kind of out in a wooded area. There's remnants of a fence, but we could never really tell where the fence line was. We did find some fence in a tree. There is a cornfield about 100 feet west of there, where there was there's a start of a tree line going to the west from this corner. We found the iron, which is a 1/2 inch rebar. It's 1/2 inch by 18 inch rebar. And we found that about 3 feet, 3.43 west and 5.9 feet north of the stone. And Whiteman's used a half inch for a survey. And then Stevenson, Tom did a survey from J5 to I5, and he found a stone at the 8th corner. I didn't mark it on there, but between J5 and I5, there's an 8th corner, which is a stone. And if you projected that out, and that's how you come across the other stone, which pretty much is almost a straight line from J5, the 8th corner, to I5 to the stone. So distances are really, close to the split. Not sure where the iron, how long it's been established. I did dig around the area. I took the iron out, dug below it, didn't find anything else. Poked around, see if there's any other monuments around as far as iron. Didn't find anything. There's really no occupation to the east, no occupation to the north and south. There is some remnants of a fence going to the south, which is, from what I could find, that's in the ground. It's pretty close to the stone.
So in 86, Whiteman found that iron?
Yes.
3.43 west and 5.91 north of the stone?
Yes.
Judge, just looking at it, it doesn't fit, like you said, it doesn't fit doubling over from using that 8 corner stone exactly. But you know if any surveys were used off of that one?
I think you had a survey. Well, not really. Here's the survey. Your survey was quarter of a mile west of there. I think he used it to establish the north line of that. That's the survey.
They were in section 15?
So you would have been in section 15. In section
14.
10, I think. All right.
To the north.
You're in section 10. So,
Yeah, it looks like 7 all too.
Who's signing?
Oh,
and then Stevenson did another survey going west, and he found another stone. So you had stones all in. And J5 is also a stone too.
So looks like they didn't dig for the stone, they just went out there, found an iron and used it.
The stone is kind of it's kind of chopped, like they made a point to it.
Yeah, from what I remember, it's a cut stone.
Yeah.
Wouldn't really affect this parcel at all,
No.
because it's just a reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they found the 8th corner to base that off on the road there. And no going north out of that, I ran the line.
From I-5?
From I-5 to going north, and there was, I set stakes on line like every 100 feet.
Mhm.
It was well into occupation.
Mm-hmm.
18-inch rebar somebody set up there for some reason. An 18-inch rebar somebody set up there for some reason, but probably couldn't find the stone and that was their best guess. It might be a double portion in between.
Well, that's still not like that far.
Yeah, it was sticking up a little bit, yeah.
I mean, it's something weird, but I wouldn't be surprised if they double portioned that rebar in, but don't know.
Any other discussion on this corner? Any more, Dale, on that to talk about?
No, I think, all the surveys have been based on the stone, all the other surveys in the area.
Is that the stone?
Of the stone, yeah. So, and then going to J5, J5 is also a stone. And it's pretty, there's a fence post right next to it, or there's fence line right next to it. It's kind of like in the corner of a plowed area. It's woods to the west, or to the east, and then there's plowed field to the north of it and to the west of it, and kind of goes around it. There's woods that are probably about 50 feet north of it and west of it before you get to the plowed field. So,
That's all a notch stone and a rock.
and it's notched. So, and there's a subdivision that was done by Mitchell that was based off J5 and K5.
Yep, I remember, well, it was a very cool day when I found it. And it's real hilly out there.
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, going, yeah,
Yes.
south, east, west.
Everywhere it's hilly.
Yeah, and yeah, even if you go past the subdivision, it gets, you start going, you know. So I recommend holding the stone.
All that stony, you can't find any perpetuation on any of that, huh? No surveys that go back to.
No. No. That's it.
I'll make a motion to ratify the corners as presented.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Dave. Looks like you kind of got the bonus round this year.
Didn't expect it.
Tom didn't get all the problems going.
Yeah, well, actually, that's kind of exciting to see that.
These are exciting.
Different stuff. I mean, I loved it. It had to be surveyed prior to the 1835.
Yeah.
For him to put street lines in there in his notes.
You know, they ran the state line. No, that would have been south. You know, when they did it the first time. Oh, yeah,
And then they wouldn't have known to come up
right,
from that.
right.
I mean,
Right, because there were the two state lines, I was thinking of
Right.
it. But the second one was, which is what we're using, is 10 miles north, so
Right.
The other way around.
I know L5, I mean, those trees are big, going north and south, these tree lines. These trees are huge.
Yeah. Know right where you're at.
Okay, any other new business? Any miscellaneous business? Paper, last meeting, you said the paperwork has to be in.
November
your office.
13th, November 13th.
Okay,
Ed got us in today.
Plus or minus.
Five, what's that?
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus. We have to chat. The Mon boxes are not in at the road department.
Call Cass County.
okay, any other miscellaneous items? There being no further business, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Ed, you're on vacation, aren't you now?
I'm moving about a day and a half.
Oh, I thought it was,
No, that's me.
oh, that's you.
This is my last meeting for 10 days. I think I'm even gonna turn my phone on. All right, gentlemen, you have a great day.
You too.
Have a good vacation, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Those are extras from that.
No. Hey Dale, can I get you to sign this?
That GLO thing is kind of cool for that. Oh, well. You know, when I was going through all these corners, I had to do the corner count, I wasn't looking at fractional sections going the other direction.
Yeah, I don't know why they would have done that.
Hey, sure.
Okay, are you good? Yeah, a couple,
Yeah.
You know, in 1840,